going to introduce you to a slightly different way of looking where you spend your time. This is an introduction. We're going to use this throughout the program, and we'll go into in more detail when we go onto the workshop. Get a life. If you manage to sleep for 8 hours, it means you've got 16 hours each day that you can use in whatever way you want. It's great if you can actually make sure that a good part of that is productive, doing the things that are meaningful to your life. So when you start off trying to see where you invest your time and energy, and this is an exercise that I did some while ago with a group of people to try and understand where time gets spent. So we just did an exercise where we took post-it notes and brainstormed them. You can see the type of things that came up. Those are just examples, and I've added a few that didn't come out of the brainstorming. But now, trying to actually work out what the categories are. And I remember at the time I'd been working on a continuous improvement project, and they said, we've all got two jobs. One is doing your job, and the other is improving your job. So there's this improvement versus sort of routine. So if you said, okay, let's put the headings there: improvements, routines, having fun, and anything that's really non-value, failures, things that mess up. So I've taken the post-it notes and put them underneath there. So you can actually see improvements, perhaps attending a class, learning a new subject or whatever, putting a new system in place, something which is all about a training day for a team. I know this is actually pitched more at a business, which is my background, but I'm sure it's still helpful to people that are at school or going on to college and university. Routines, these are repetitive things that you do. So, claiming expenses, answering emails, on the phone. They're things that you do as a matter of routine. Fun, enjoying a night out with friends, going on an evening run. I wouldn't find that fun, but anyway. And then non-value items, like traveling to a meeting. Sometimes non-value items you can't avoid. You still have to travel to that meeting, but you're not sort of doing anything in particular that's going to advance your project or work on a routine. So out of that, I actually came up with the life analysis. The E of life is everyday routines. This is doing your job, buying, making, selling, marketing, completing an expense claim. But also too, in the time that you're not at work, housekeeping, gardening, maintenance, and home paperwork. They're all everyday routines. Improvement, this is improvement projects. It could be little mini projects, improving your ways of working, creating something new. But once it's new, it becomes an everyday routine. Home improvement projects, learning a new skill. That's an improvement. You're improving yourself. So now you see the difference there, everyday routines and improvements. What I found when I was looking at overall time, there's this gap, and this gap is this fuzzy stuff. And fuzzy stuff is, I could put failed stuff, but fuzzy stuff is because business travel you can't avoid, certain amount of socializing you can't avoid if you're in an office, but it then covers the duplication of work. It's wasted time at meetings. It's being there for a whole day in a meeting, but really you're only necessary for 1 hour. Yes, you're picking up on what other people are doing, and that's not a bad thing, etc., but it's a bit fuzzy. And of course, our smartphone addictions, just checking up to see what the latest cricket score is or something like that. So fuzzy. And then the L of life is leisure. It's living. It's about hobbies. It's about entertaining. It's about reading. You know, it's about eating out. It's having fun. It's listening to music. You know, it's all the good things. So when you actually look at the categorization, you see, when you start to look and just look at everything you're doing, am I working on an everyday routine? Is this an improvement project? Is it to do with leisure? So it's just a way of actually starting to categorize how you will be able to save time. So what we found on our workshops, we got people to do a pie chart of a typical day. Now, there wasn't a massive amount of data capture in order to do this, but people had a pretty good feel as to where their time was going. And what they were finding is there was a hell of a lot of fuzzy stuff. And a lot of this is based on interruptions and, you know, not being able to see people phoning up. It's those days where you say to yourself at the end of the day, you know what? I don't know what I did today, because I just feel as if I spent the time on the phone helping other people to sort out their problems. But I haven't done much to do with myself. So looking at that, not enough time spent on improvement projects, too much time on fuzzy and everyday routines look like there's a need to try and smarten them up, make them simpler, make them smarter, make them faster. So that's what we found on the workshop. And then after the workshop, and with catering support and putting action plans in place, the idea here was to dramatically reduce fuzzy stuff, because there were plenty of opportunities to cut that down, to get the everyday routines slicker, so that they worked very well. There was just making sure that they delivered without failing, made a huge step. And then take the time that you save and repurpose it. Try and actually end up with more leisure. Try and make sure that you have really good improvement projects. And, you know, part of what we did there was to try and get people to leave work. And this is pre, you know, it's obviously pre-pandemic. You know, people were working to 7, 8 o'clock at night. How could we bring that down? How could we get people leaving no later than 6 o'clock and actually starting to get more leisure? So it was a very good exercise to put that in place. So to summarize, so bear in mind, this is just an introduction. We'll get into this on the workshop. Start thinking about where each of your tasks fits into life, the categories. Then think how you could reduce fuzzy, the things that are going wrong, you know, the failures, the F word and ups. How could you simplify your routines, make them even faster? Could you work smarter and quicker across everything you do? Is there a way you could actually go about that? Could you repurpose, save time into quality leisure? You know, could you take on a few more continuous improvement projects that will benefit you in the longer term? So it's just to put it out there and to get you to start thinking along those lines. Get a life, because this is what this is all about, is giving you the skills, the tools that will help you to get through what you have to get through and have a lot of fun and enjoyment. That's it.